Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Nenden Budiarti. I'm a doctoral student in Faculty of Economic and Business, Universitas Padjadjaran Bandung, Indonesia. Today, I would like to present the research about labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over in Indonesia. Everyone, according to Department of Economic and Social Affairs Population Division, Indonesia's elderly population in 2015 was 21.19 million, or rank 8 in the global elderly population. In 2030, the elderly population is projected to rise to 38.96 million, then in 2050 is projected to continue increasing to 61.9 million. Dealing with old age, a person will experience setbacks in various ways, both physically and psychologically. However, the National Labor Force Survey in 2019 shows the percentage of the elderly population who work as much as 49.39%. That means many elderly people still participate in the labor force and want to remain productive in filling their old age in meeting their daily needs. Various studies have revealed the determinations of labor force participation among the elderly. Beverell et al. Found that married men were more likely to remain in the labor force than were single. Then the labor force participation is higher and equal for people who have a higher education than high school, don't have pension coverage, have high incomes in recent years, and have a long history of labor force attachment. Jill Fillion and Andrews revealed that matured women have the potential to enter the labor force, but they encounter problematic obstacles. Gills et al. Found that location of residence and sex affect workers in deciding to stop working. They found huge greater gender differences in urban areas than rural areas when quitting a job. And also health status and labor supply in rural areas have a strong relationship. Matt and Suit in 2007 examined the effect of health condition on labor force participation and found that the implementation of the national health insurance in 1995 for the cost of elderly health care increased and reduced the incentives for the elderly to work and receive available health insurance. In line with those review studies, this research aimed to examine the effect of demographic and socioeconomic characteristic on the probability of an aging population, which is defined as individuals aged 50 years and over to enter the labor force in Indonesia. Here is the materials and methods we use in this research. We use data EFL's Web 5, which is conducted in 2014 to 2015. Then samples all the individuals aged 50 years and over and had information on the ability to perform daily activities and participated in the labor force or not at the time of the enumeration, which was 50,456 respondents. And we use the probit model as the estimation method. Here is the model specification. Where labor as dummy variable that indicates someone enters the labor force if equal to 1 and 0 doesn't enter the labor force. X, household characteristics, namely rural. Z, socioeconomic characteristic, include non-PCA and unemployment merit. V, individual characteristic include age square, female, married, health, adult, deaf child, the Japanese, living alone, ADL cuts, and insurance. And E, reverse to error term. Here is the result. We found that married had rural, ethnicity, and ADL codes, as health variables, which is observed through the COTS index based on activity daily living, significantly affecting the labor force participation of individual age 50 years and over positively. The positive directions shows that the variables increase the probability of labor force participation. The result in merit variable confirms the research by Weberhold that marital status determine a person to be in the labor force compared to being single. The research conducted by Adhikari confirms that individuals who are heads of household are likely to continue working in old age in this research. And then location of residence significantly affects the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over, both in total and in sample male and female. This is expected due to employment in rural areas is relatively simple and doesn't require skill and a high level of education. The same findings are also found in Giles et al. Meanwhile, Adhikari revealed different findings in their study. Ethnicity, we use Japanese as the reverence, significantly affects the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over, both in total sample and in men or male sample at the level of significance of 10%. The result in ADL counts or health variables is in line with research conducted by Hung, Matt, and Schultz, also Gilpillion and Andrews, who revealed the declining health conditions are the reason for a person who doesn't participate in the labor force, especially for individuals who are elderly. Next, age adult education, then insurance, loan PCE, and unemployment rate significantly affecting the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over negatively. The negative direction shows that the variable decrease the probability of labor force participation. The research conducted by Knox, Matt and Saltz, Gilvillian, and Andrews, also Gilles et al., confirms that the addition of age will decrease the labor force participation. Then in education variables, in total, the educational variables indicate the negative effect on the labor force participation of the elderly population at various levels of education. Only at the junior and senior high school education significantly decreases the opportunity for individuals aged 50 years and over to enter the labor force. The higher education level equivalent to university significantly increases the chances of labor force participation in females. Meanwhile, a higher education level of males reduces the opportunities for labor force participation. This level of education especially affected women since it can increase their competitiveness and bargaining power in the labor force or in the labor market. Similar findings found from Dugan about the effect of education variable based on gender, in which education had a negative relationship and a significant effect on the elderly male labor force participation rate. Meanwhile, the relationship of education variables of the elderly female population on the labor force participation is positive with a significant effect. Meanwhile, Giles et al. Show different findings. They reveal the positive effect of educational variables on the labor force participation of the elderly population, which is represented through the years of schooling. Also, Ling and Fernandez, where the educational variable positively affects the labor force participation, but statistically insignificant. From the economic side, land PCE significantly affect the labor force participation in a negative directions in the total sample and in women or female. As for men, here, despite having a negative variation, but the effect of rising consumption is not significant in determining the labor force participation at that age. Similar to land PCE, unemployment rate shows the significant effect on the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over in a negative direction. But different results from math and salts in which the population, the unemployment rate doesn't affect the labor force participation of the elderly, both in men and women. From this result, we found that only deaf child and living alone variables do not significantly affect the labor force participation of individuals aged 50 years and over, both in total and by gender. Similar findings in living alone from Adhikari. They use living with children approach and its effect on the labor force participation. The variables indicate that the elderly who do not live with the children tend to be a part of the labor force. From those results above, we have conclusions that demographic characteristics have an important role for individuals aged 50 years and over to enter the labor force. Two, the results show that existence of dependent children in household and individuals aged 50 years and over who live alone didn't significantly influence or affect the labor force of individuals aged 50 years and over. And three, the socioeconomic characteristics, namely per capita expenditure and unemployment rate, affect the opportunity for individuals aged 50 years and over to enter the labor force significantly. This research shows that there are still a lot of elderly people who participate in the labor force. So here are the recommendation according to the result. It's necessary to think about the employment and types of work that's suitable for the condition of old age workers. Social security is needed to support and help the living needs of elderly people, especially those who work in informal sectors. Then the younger generation needs to prepare themselves to face old age, to set up the old age population in the future through various efforts. Regarding health, the government needs to continue to improve the facilities and infrastructure of health services so that the elderly can live more actively and productively. Also, government how to improve health insurance through the Social Security Administrator for Health, or we know as BPJS Kesehatan. Regarding to education, the elderly need to be encouraged to continue learning. The learning process is not only studying in the classroom, but lifelong learning. And the elderly need to be equipped with vocational training so that they can face old age more actively and productively. Okay, everyone, that's all the result will be conducted. Thank you for your attention. Here is the references we use in the studies. See you on the next occasion, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.